of being able to match up accordingly. The CT side notoriously a bit more easier on this map, and we'll see what Order have prepared on their T side. Those that aren't too familiar, Rewound is a team that most people won't be too familiar with in terms of the organization and that particular string of rosters, but it is majority from that old breakaway lineup from previous ESEA seasons. So they have faced off against each other, but they've recently acquired 2 new players. So over towards the B bomb site. Order are going to get this bomb planted. A 5 versus 5 retake situation in which Alistair is going to be trapped on towards the site, but Inns, he has the rotation in from Secret. He gets the first, and although his teammate is traded, he's going to be a huge nuisance now for the Rewound players. They have to push on further forward from ramp to try and alleviate that pressure, but Alistair's going to deliver the first kill. Oh, down to low HP. Sitting right above him, it's going to be Alistair to get a 3k in the round. Now just left onto the singular one-man in Valiance. And he cannot get it done. It's in to deliver the finishing blow, and Order will take the pistol. So, as far as I'm aware, the players in the server, some of them don't have their names quite lined up how they're supposed to be. So F. Mueller is Imagine, or Emag as he's become lovingly known as in the scene. Aussie Road is Valiance for the Rewound side. And I'm trying to think of who the last player is, and his name in Chodes. Not quite going to be quite familiar with that particular alias for the Rewound side. But I will assume that he is YDNA. Considering he is not a player name that's in the server currently. Ooh, lovely shot by Alistair to immediately deal with Ramas. The force buy was pulled through here for Rewound, and it's immediately dealt with. Ramp control has been taken. They can start making their way over towards this B site, but there's already the rotation in. Rewound are prepared for this endeavor, but Molotov'd off. It's going to be Valence trying to cheat past it. Gets himself gunned down by another one of these SMGs. Not just YDNA and Keto is trying to escape with whatever weaponry they can. Setting themselves up for an exit or two if possible. If Keto's able to get himself his hands on one of these rifles, even the Galil is acceptable. Will mitigate some of the costs moving into a following round if he's able to save it through that as well. Potentially do a bit of damage if Order go for one of these faster plays towards the A site, because they haven't suffered any casualties. Holding onto these UMPs is very likely for the Order lineup as they move forward, and even into their very first gun round, they'll treat it as a bit of a bonus and see if they can capitalize on the lack of head armor that is very likely from the first gun rounds Rewound will buy into. If that's the legitimate origins of F. Bueller, that's some wonderful insight to be bringing into the table. Rewound. I'm not going to be too pleased with how much damage they were able to actually get done to this Order lineup in that previous round. And see if they can be a little bit more successful, especially with Order taking and going towards outside. Looks will come through. There's the counter aggression in through radio. Noisia taking a lot of map control as a result of this. So this should eliminate some of the possibilities for this T-side offense here in round number 3. They should have the idea that they are going to be going towards the B site, but they can do nothing to stop it. Nobody made a fast enough rotation over that they're going to be able to contest the site too heavily, and so that leaves Order in a position where they can just roam freely. One will get planted by Emag. Oh, Inns might not be suspecting this angle here from Noisia. Mag's crept forward, he gets the first Aussie. Oh, he's able to deal with it. alongside YDNA, they've actually found 2 kills here on that order side, and they might even push further forward for this. They're going to have a buy up into this next round anyway. Doing as much damage to the order side is certainly favorable for them. Eliminating some of the possibilities of these SMGs and the Galil being brought forward, but it does seem like they're going to escape with what little they have. YDNA with the AK in hand, and Noisia and Keto securing his exit. It does seem like they're going to be able to get away with that one. Steph's not going to push too far forward, and YDNA will get away with the AK. Just have a look quickly at how the odds are reflected in this matchup. Quite a heavy favoritism towards Order, and I don't really blame the odds too heavily for that one. Certainly the favorites in the matchup. We'll have to see how Rewound are able to overcome this Order side. On to this first gun round, we see these SMGs being brought up, or rather brought forward for the Order side as a result of not cycling those weapons out, not sustaining too many casualties in previous rounds. And there's only the 2 players on the CT side that have a lacking bit of head armor. That is in Noisia and YDNA, but they're going to be able to hold fairly far-fledged angles with this AUG and AWP in hand. That's going to be the commitment over towards the A site. Much easier to make use of the short engagement ranges that these SMGs are able to make use of, but 2 kills from Valiance is going to be a huge trump there for the Order side. Imagine's able to bring things a little bit closer. He even knows that Llamas is coming in on the flank. That's fantastic presence of mind there from Imagine. That should allow them this plant. Neither of these 2 players is in a position in which they can stop it, and that's going to allow this strong post-plant position to be held. Alistair's going to be the main point of contact here on the retake, and he spots the shadow, deals with Keto, and now just left onto the AWP of Valiance. And he's trapped between 2 angles. He doesn't really know how to approach this, and he's just going to go and save. No kit available for him in the round. He's actually going to get tracked down by Imagine, even hunting further forward. Went all the way through lobby, through ramp, just to make sure that they could bring that up into their own hands and make sure that Valiance couldn't get away with it. Or YDNA couldn't. Just call the guy Andy. I don't know these guys on a personal or spiritual level. Can't go around throwing people's first names about. You can call him by his first name because you know him and you're cool like that. This round's going to be pretty swimmingly held into Order's hands. Llama's attempt was made, but no shots really will convert. He needs to net himself a frag. YDNA moving forward. And Llama's gonna move himself further forward. Now the last remaining player for the Rewound side. There you have it. Order sustained 0 casualties in round number 5 and going to be able to build up a decent amount of economy around it as a result of not sustaining too much damage in those previous rounds. See, the money situation is getting a little bit out of hand. 4 AKs and an AWP, and they've still got about 8k minimum in reserve. Spam damage there done by Hats in towards lobby. Keto's going to feel the burn as a result of that. So far, we haven't seen too many of these closely contested rounds for Rewound. That first gun round was really the closest that we've seen. And that came off the back of Valiance getting very aggressive towards that door position. No, yes, I am aware why DNA is Andy backwards in all caps. He's got a very original name. Imagine creeping outside. Keto, he knows that that position is a bit of an issue here for Rewound. They had minimal information as to how far they could be crept up. They need to win that duel. Voyager from up high. He's able to get a lot of damage onto Zeph as well as the kill on towards Hats. It makes things considerably more difficult here for Order, and as they retreat, Inns gets legged as well. Now 30 HP remaining between these two Order players, and this is looking like a much more sustainable kind of a defense here for Rewound. Lamas is ready on the rotation. He finds the first and the second as well. Softened up opponents, but the double kill nonetheless, and Rewound will take their first. The ult being brought up by the man you'd expect on the Order side, but for now, Rewound will have to rely on Andy to lock things down with his own AWP in towards Hut. He's looking for the opening pick, but already down towards Secret. Imagine's going to lose his supporting teammate in Hats, but he's still able to secure some level of control towards the slower site. You can see that already that pressure that's been mounted on Valiant's shoulders. He's going to deploy the smoke very early on. Andy, though, pushed even further forward, and Alistar's unsuspecting of the second swing. Thought that the lobby would have been a safer position after that first pick from that CT side, but he just kept holding that angle. And before you know it, Inns is thrust into a 1 versus 5. At least he's able to recover the bomb in a fairly safe position, but he has minimal ground to work with. No real gaps in the defensive for Rewound. They're even doubling up towards that lower site and respecting the fact that Inns could have potentially crept his way forward somehow towards lower B. Has found a gap to work with, however. Reaping himself forward, he's going to be able to flank his way in towards Heaven, and maybe suspecting of this. There's two players not even looking at this angle. Keto. Oh no, he's going to be able to line up the double, but he turns to face him. He takes the one and done angle at the far vent, and that means that he has only one position that he needs to be concerned about. That could have potentially been devastating for Rewound had that not gone in Keto's favor. Neither of them looked too strung up on the idea that they could be flanked out on that A site. It's going to work out for them nonetheless. Rewound, that's exactly the type of round you want on that CT side. Holding all 5 players alive, it means that they can build up their economy further forward, and that Order are going to have to keep dwindling their own reserves to fight back. Couple of rounds won in a row is certainly going to favor them moving forward. Now it's going to be more of the same. Order getting aggressive in towards outside. They've already established control in Imagine. No sun moves being made by either team just yet. Yulama boosted in towards ramp, and although it's not going to net anything in this round, he at least will have the information that it won't have been spotted out by Order just yet, so they may try that in a further instance. Inzo in towards lobby. He's going to get the first kill, but he doesn't realize that Valiant has pushed his way forward. There's going to be a hit towards the A site, and Valiant could be a huge thorn in the side of Order. Lost, but there, Valiant strikes. He takes down the bomb carrier. Zeph able to trade things back and make sure that they can recover that bomb. Oh, and he's going to tank that nade straight to the face as he moves up the vent, and I think they heard that nade hit him in his chest cavity. And he's going to have to back himself away, but they're already setting up to try and deal with this and take the AWP out of the hands of that CT side as he repositions. Alistair as the kill. And Order will accumulate a 6th. Although this map is more favored towards that CT side, a good start off the back of this first half from Order is certainly going to be a huge weight off their shoulders. 6 rounds already accrued. That's pretty much what you'd kind of want moving into this portion of the map. 9-6 is certainly nothing to scoff at, but far more opportunities will present itself for Order to be able to accrue a few more. Oh, Andy. Although Alistair had the shot lined up, he's not quite able to pull the trigger fast enough. The AWP versus AWP duel goes the way of Rewound, but all the meanwhile, they've lost a bit of presence outside. They have nobody making inroads towards the B bomb site just yet. Llamas has to give up his position towards ramp. No one's really picking up that slack over in that position. Ramp is very exposed. Order, if they'd gone towards this default, may have been able to capitalize, but for now it's still heavy outside pressure. And just trying to make sure that there's no lobby control being garnered for that CT side to over-rotate towards B. See, now they're going for that pressure. Now they're going to make that counter-aggression to get that information. Llamas will be trusted to lock things down towards the lower site. But Order are duking them out, it seems. Emag's already made his way in towards Heaven, and that means he's going to have a huge rotation cut off. The first there, and he's going to be spot out. As well, the player moving in towards lobby. Although Valiance is dealt with, they know exactly where Andy is. And Llamas, if he's able to get at least the 1 kill here, he may just secure enough space for Andy to strike. But for now, it's going to be a very passive play. But Andy doesn't even give Hats an opportunity. Shoots him straight through the far vent. And they may just be tempted into this. They brought it to the 2 versus 3. Llamas is repositioned, but very tough angles to re-engage this bomb site with, and although they have the kit available, it'll be much more conservative. Definitely the right line of thinking to hold on to these weapons. Oh, he's not even going to be able to get away with the AUG. Andy thought about going for that last pick there just to do a bit more damage to that Order side. But after the 2 rounds accrued, Rewound have now met once again a brick wall. And a timeout will be called off the back of it. A lot to discuss as they move forward, as it has really come down to some of the individual timings and just how easily it has been for Order to take outside control. There's not really been too much variance in the CT side setups that they need to be all that concerned about sort of correct spacing, throwing flashbangs to make sure that those fights that they're taking outside are that much easier, because typically when they throw that wall of smokes, there's minimal pressure that being felt in response. There'll be a half buy here from the CT side. Order going to set themselves up once again for this outside pressure, as it is become fairly standard on Nuke. Because we saw a bit of variance away from that very recently. Furia receiving a lot of praise for a different approach to this particular map, as well as their dominance with a rifle that is not seen too often. Now it will be a fairly standard state of affairs. Rewound have at least pushed over towards ramp, so they know that if it's going to be an A-side hit, there's at least no lobby pressure initially for the Order side. They'll have the understanding that because they gave up control towards Secret, that Order are likely in this position. Down towards B, a series of Molotovs will at least cheat the rotations over, and Andy answers first. Alistair's dealt with, and he's going to be a huge nuisance from this position because they have no smokes to really siphon him off. The Molotov will flush him back for now, and Hats is deploying as much utility as he can to allow them to get themselves onto the site. And he's dealt with. The AWP's out of play, but now Llamas picks up the mantle himself. Hats will secure the plant there for order. No kit available for the CT side, so if they don't find these kills quickly, there's no real inroad towards the site. Need to bring things into a favorable position early enough, and oh, Hats, he's been spotted out. Doesn't want to jiggle peek too much further, and Llamas has found Ins as well. Deals with the flank in Valiance, and Hats is going to find two. Noisia not really posturing up as aggressively as the rest of his team. Will save this CZ into the following round, but you do wonder what the end goal was for that CT side, or whether it was just about containing them towards the bomb site, trying to do as much damage as possible, or whether they were legitimately trying to make a real contest for the site. Noia's not even going to get that kill on towards Hats, although he had a bit of a drop on him with the CZ. Hats eventually finds the headshot. You can see just how devastating this Order side is within this oceanic region. Rewound, although they've got some fairly heavy hitters and they've got individual performers that can certainly match up at times, the consistency of this Order lineup is very tough to deal with. So far, it's not really one player that's standing out in this first half. So far, it's been a fairly close-knit affair in terms of how these players are contributing. Alistair will find the opening pick over towards Valiance. Either will answer back on EMAG. And this time, although they throw that outside pressure, they're not going to get themselves down towards Secret. Kito's down to low HP. Llamas as well is sustained heavy damage, and they're going to push further into this. Kito, although he's able to get away with the one frag, Zeph is there to trade, and they immediately snap there on towards Noisia. Andy in a now 1 versus 3, but Zeph is pushed further forward by himself, and Andy strikes back. He gets all 3. Clutches it back for the Rewound side. In Order, you've given that straight to him. Shot after shot hit nonetheless, but they weren't expecting Andy to be there on the rotation, and he capitalizes in full effect. And that's the kind of round that can really revitalize you as a side. Order have already secured the half win, but Rewound need every single round from here on out. Lest this be a blowout. Of course, this is Order's pick, so you'd expect them to have a fairly locked down defensive on Nuke respectively, but Order don't even give them chances to think. Don't even give them the opportunity to make some sort of a counterplay. It's immediately towards A, and they dealt with Noisia instantly. The 5 versus 4, and although that's certainly a round to write home about, Rewound aren't going to favor their chances in this endeavor. They're at least grouped up together to try and secure these weapons into the following round. Llamas is able to deal with the initial pressure, and that's going to secure their exit. 4 rifles being brought forward. They even upgrade the SMG that Valiance brought into the round into an AK. Alleviate some of that economic pressure that they're feeling, but every single round that Order accrue from here is very dangerous. Eight rounds was already pretty successful half here from Order. Everything else is just toppings. Swords outside. There's a bit of tag damage on towards EMAG. Even spots him jumping up as well, so he knows that he's done some damage. And he's posted in this position with the AWP though. Alistair's there in heavy presence alongside his teammates, and we know how sharp Andy can be on that AWP. Valiance already is feeling some pressure towards the lower site, but they're going to go funneling towards this AWP. Andy doing well to try and stay alive for as long as possible. He's only able to get the one. They almost line up for him, but Inns will sustain the casualty. Will get hit with the shot. Now they're making progress towards lower B. Valiance can't really stop the plant. He's the closest player there, and now a lot of this falls into Zeph's hands. He's up close and personal, and Llamas is creeping forward. He has the presence in Quito as well, right behind him, so the trade potential is there for the CT side, but Zeph will hear the footsteps. He'll need some support from his friends, but Llamas is dealt with. He'll push further forward and deal with Quito as well. A swift double kill there from Zeph immediately trumps the retake opportunity for Rewound. It's now Valiance in a 1 versus 3, and he was trapped behind the smoke for the entirety of the round. Order have gotten double digits in the first half. Rewound, fairly scrappy sets of rounds themselves. Although they got those 2 clean ones on the rifles, they needed Andy to pull up huge in a clutch. And that's all they've gotten. Seemingly a faster play in towards the upper bomb site here from Order. Inns has made his way down towards the vents. Does Andy know that he could be here? He doesn't seem to be checking all that favorably, but he turns and switches to his knife at an inopportune time. You can see he was somewhat cautious of those vents, but as soon as he cleared those out, he thought for sure that those tunnels were completely clear, completely squeaky. Llamas, though, will answer back with 2. Cheating past the fire and flames. Hats eventually tracks him down. Equalizes the affair now as Order have 2 players that can make their way towards the lower side. They don't have the bomb. EMAG was supposed to be the one that retrieved that and rendezvoused alongside Hats, but now he needs to cheat himself forward. Inns is trying to backstab this player that had pushed all the way through the ramp, but Noise's already escaped. Ooh, Noisia, shoulder bait. Down to 32 as a result. Able to get out of that situation alive, and taking a bit of an off angle, and that angle in which the SMG can be dangerous, but Valiance doesn't even give Hats an opportunity. The smoke is there, but he just spams right through it, lands the headshots. And Order are denied an 11th. The final round of the first half, and Rewound have had some fairly good instances of seeming like they're strong on that CT side, but just consistency is a huge factor. Relied very heavily on some individuals to step up in big moments, and Quito finds the first here in round number 15. EMAG is dealt with. The bomb is recovered, and Order can start making their way down towards Secret. Andy is here, AK in his own hands, not the AWP that we're so fond of seeing on him. You know, up and down. Zeph, Molotov thrown. He's going to flush Andy back. Counter Molotov to at least push them away from the angle. Now he's trapped between 2 sets of flames. Zeph has to move forward, has to try and win this fight on towards Andy. The nade will land right at his feet, but Llamas is there as well. As soon as they take that contact, he opens up the doors, he swings on wide, and it leaves enough space for Andy to strike. Inns and Alistair are funneled in this position. They're completely trapped. Every angle that they attack is going to be at least spotted out by these Rewound players, but they've given up a bit of control to them. A lot of utility deployed, but there's still 2 players to deal with. Oh, it doesn't spot the head. Andy, he's still sitting behind the site, and Alistair is able to at least capitalize. Llamas, though, makes use of the space, and Alistair's unsuspecting of the wide swing there from Valiance. A 15th round and a 5th accrued for Rewound. And you can see how sporadic some of these were from that CT side, just how dominant Order were on their T side of things. we'll have a quick look at how things are reflected here in the odds, and yeah, you get nothing if you bet on order. Definitely the odds reflecting that. But if you fancy your chances at Rewound making the comeback, that seems to be very, very open. Good odds reflecting. Damage done towards Hats in the early stages. Alistar's here to alleviate some of that pressure, try and do some damage on the cross, but Hats has to retreat towards the B-bomb site. He can't really take any more of these raise-in angles because one more bullet will do it. He's going to get pushed on forward, and Valiance is trying to track him down. Eventually they do. Inns has to fall back. Should they go back instead towards the A site? Alwins has made his way down the vents. Noise is going to be on a huge flank, and that could be a huge trump card here for Rewound, but they're losing the site pressure. Noise is now left in a 1 versus 4, and that makes this flank pretty much null and void. You should be able to track him down regardless of this. Noisia is being given opportunities, but they all swing at the same time. The triple peek there from Order as they get themselves on the defuse. Alistair will secure that one for Order. And it's the 3k from EMAG in the CT pistol. That was certainly one of the pieces of the puzzle that Rewound needed to accrue for themselves to be given any sort of a chance into the second half. You see Order are going to be able to get themselves up to maybe 12, maybe 13, depending on how these rounds play out. Actually, a 13th if Order are able to steal past the force buy from Rewound. And although I'm not the biggest of fans of the second round buys, especially when you have the bomb planted, especially with the way in which the new economy system works and the kind of path and road that lies ahead of Rewound, I don't dislike this particular instance of it. They're fighting for a bit of attrition here in the second half, and they knew exactly what that pistol meant to them. So they will try and compensate here in round number 2. Bit of outside pressure. Alistair is going to make sure that they can't get themselves down towards Secret, so Imag doesn't really have to go for too much more here. He knows that Alistair holds the cross, and anything closer to him is going to be his own task to deal with. And we smoke in towards that hut position. We just now hit 40 in the round. Valiant's trying to deploy some utility himself, but Inns is going to swing on wide as a result of this. Valiant's spotting out the shoulder. They don't want to go into the SMG. They know that angle is going to be troublesome to deal with, but they leave Andy to strike in from main. As that smoke fades now, they have this two-pronged assault towards the A site, and you can see Order reinforcing that position, but they recognize that the fallback is there. Hats and Alistair chime in at the exact same time. They brought it to a 3-on-3, but the B bomb site is completely open for business. The issue is that if this bomb planter goes down, things get very troublesome. Llama's down to 26 HP. Getting away by the skin of his teeth as the spam came through from in, so he can't really be too much of a factor here on the defensive. Noisia trapped between two angles. Llama's dealt with, and now it's just left into the man and the Aussie Road. Valiance only gets the one. Would have been the 4k to bring things forward for Rewound, but he falls short at the final hurdle. Zeph deals with him, and Order will take round number 12. Certainly some opportunities presenting itself to Rewound, and the call to double back towards B, although dangerous to do, they were successful. I think if you really break things down into small instances of play that really swung things into Order's side, is all that spam damage that came through the smoke. Incredibly difficult for them to be able to make use of that player to try and bring the advantage into their own right. Especially when he's not able to be too much of a factor. Can't take any of these forward-facing fights. Has to try and be a little bit nefarious and sneaky around the smoke. And Ended up getting caught out as a result. So certainly not the position you want to be in if you're Rewound. You can see they get another bomb plant in that previous round. They're immediately going to force buy off the back of it. This is not really what you typically see on Nuke, especially when we look at... Okay. Valiance. Not exactly what you would have expected at the start of this round. Moisha down to 78 HP, and Llama's already sustaining heavy tag damage on Rewound's side. You can see the minimal amounts of utility that they have. It's affecting exactly how they want to play out this round. They don't have smokes to throw that outside pressure and make Order think or even rotate towards B. Hats is just going to spam him straight through the smoke. Llama's sustaining that tag damage earlier on. The nade finishes him off, and even just throwing a few taps in their direction does a bit more damage as well to Rewound. Losing the initial pick in towards ramp, they're just giving it up immediately. You don't want to fall into any trap that Hats may have set. Inns is here, and he's holding at the boxes. He gets the first, the second as well. The third soon to follow, but Zeph makes sure that he doesn't have to do too much work. The double kill between both the site players. And I think we can start to think about map number 2. This is Order likely up to round number 14, unless the pistols pull something crazy. Likely 14 registered in Order's name. Just how explosive these reround players can be with just the pistols in hand. Lots of nade damage done into the early stages. Andy is creeping further forward. Alistair might just give up the angle, and there's Andy. Striking and dealing with the AWPer that was troublesome for them to deal with on the T side of things, and Valiance has found one as well. I may just eat my words here. Down towards lower B, there's a lot of damage being done to these Order players, and they've recovered rifles off the back of it. Andy's gotten his hands onto an AUG, and well, they're going to be able to meet them on this B bomb site. Valiance, if he strikes with that deagle at range, he's going to make things a lot easier for Keto. Oh, there it is. A second deagle headshot found. Zeph will try his best to recover the round in Order's favor. He's gotten 3 kills already. Llamas and Chodes. The Andy himself. Oh, he spots out just the slither of the head. Llamas brings things closer. And Andy still has the AUG in play. This could be Zeph on for the ace if he's able to clutch things back. And he's creeping into a position that Andy might not suspect. But he catches him and blindsides him. Rewound have done it. They make the deagles work. And they deny the ace on the recovery there from Zeph. They need to be able to do that on rifle rounds is the issue. So far, when they've had these more expensive bits of utility, the more expensive weaponry, Order have been able to deal with it so far in this second half. Pressure towards outside here for Order. It's just the pistols in the round for the CT side. So far, a 1-for-1 in that endeavor. Oh no, Emag, don't do it to them. He's flanked straight through the smoke, and he gets the double kill outside. Andy and Keto, the last 2 remaining, these were the 2 that were trusted to hold down things towards lobby as they secured outside control. Then they could have maybe crunched towards the A side of things. Maybe even split through ramp as a result, but now they're the last 2 remaining. Once again, it's these pistols coming into play, and Order may have toppled them right back. Ito's trying to be a little bit sneaky with this. And he's just looking for an inroad. There's the kill towards Hats. Even dropped the bomb to make sure that things weren't too dangerous if he had fallen in that position. They brought it to a 2-on-2. Inns and Alistair. Now cowering over to respective bomb sites, and Inns is just waiting for his chance to strike. He'll creep on forward, and he almost finds the timing. Keto, just about to give up the angle, spots a sliver of Inns. And now a 1 versus 2 for Alistair. He'll go over the safer route as a way of rotating in towards the site, but he's having to take a very dangerous angle. Trying to track down this player, isolate the 1v1s, but he gets smoked out. Keto secured the round here. Alistair's just going to try and hightail it out of there with the AK in hand. And Rewound will continue to deny Order a 14th. I would have been very surprised to see Order answer right back with their own eco round. But a great job between those two to bring things back. They win respective isolated duels. Although it comes to that, they don't really set themselves up in positions to trade. It means that at least these players are fired up in their individual levels. Not afraid to take those duels, and quite often it is a lack of confidence and not really feeling that the round is in your favor in respective situations that can sometimes cost you the round. You play a little bit too reserved and don't capitalize on small little mistakes. Rewound, grouping themselves up towards that red crate, are going to go for the double smoke on the cross. Noisia extinguishing the flames will allow them safe passage, but now over towards B. Chose has taken down Imagine outside, and the rotation's already come out from the CTs. They've already committed towards the lower side, and Andy is on a tear. The double kill outside by his lonesome. Zeph has to make a counterplay. He gets llamas, but will he suspect a secondary player? Keto's there to trade. This is a crucial kill. Oh. What could have been if only Inns knew. That was the bomb. Rendezvousing with the rest of the team on the side of Rewound. Inns will try and make an individual play. He gets the one, but they all swing at the same time. Hats as well came up through the vents. And Rewound are able to deal with it. If they had found that kill towards the outside of lobby, that would have been the bomb dropped. That could have changed the posturing up of those Rewound players as they were just creeping forward. They were comfortable in leaving that player isolated towards outside and to make his way through main respectively. Now only a 5-round discrepancy between the two. Seeming like the T side is where both of these thrive at the minute. Towards lobby. It's the 1 kill in Zeph's favor. Llamas has been able to deal with 3. Of course, just the pistols in hand for now. Imagine trying to play a bit of a cheesy angle, hidden behind the doors, and Alistair will prevent them from making too many inroads outside. Will be the crunch towards A. That's unfortunate for Alistair. It was so easy for Rewound to get on towards the site. He immediately looked at the flank. That's, of course, where Alistair was located. Emag's not going to have too many chances in this one. If he's somehow able to make his way over towards where Andy was taken down, maybe recover a rifle. I do believe that sits at control. Or radio, sorry. Yeah, you can see Keto's keeping a keen eye on that position to make sure Emag doesn't pull off something sneaky. No opportunities for Emag to get a singular kill. Oh, Noise spots him out. Yep, there's the kill in response. 4 players stay alive here for Rewound, and once again it's this lack of damage being done to that T side that's really pulling forward, even in the second half. The amount of money that Keto's been able to build up on himself respectively, you can see everybody at a bare minimum about 3k. I imagine Keto will drop an AK over towards Andy to even out the money a little bit. Oh, actually, the AWP thrown over. Not surprised to see either of those weapons in his hands. Andy's been sharp with whatever he's been wielding. Valiant's more of the rifler, but certainly the larger impact in the frags. Gotta give it up for Andy. Meanwhile, on the order side of things, just before the freeze time finishes, look at some of the damage done. Zeph, 100 ADR, the only one on the server surpassing the triple digits. He's been on a roll. Oh, Andy, he lined up Hats. He'd spotted out the head just before the smoke had bloomed, and as Hats got a little bit inquisitive, decided to give himself a peek. Andy will capitalize off that fact. Things are getting closer and closer, and Order are starting to feel the pressure. They would have felt comfortable coming into the second half, but now Rewound are showing they can do it on the T side as well. Ends. Waiting has a small gap to work with. He'll spot them on the cross. Noisia dealt with through the smoke. He had a few pixels to spot out the shadows and the feet. It's a great equalizer for Order to work with. They know that the B bomb site is somewhat compromised, and you can see Emag, he's just doing the jump spot. He's in the door frame to prevent him from going too much higher. He'll spot out Valiance. I know that it's going to be a play towards B. Valiance and Keto moving further forward, and Emag, if he's able to get into his position fast enough, they may not suspect this one. Alistair is there on the rotation. Keto's trying to find a way in, and Imagine's been dealt with. Alistair answers back and trades things further forward. Llama's whiffed Molotov. Alistair's not able to get anything more done with the AWP. But now only 8 seconds. They need to find this quickly, and if the bomb planter's dealt with... Oh, suddenly this is very dangerous. Yeah, Keto never really stood a chance. They held the crossfire in both ramp and decon. There was no place safe on the site that they couldn't keep eyes on. And the round really falls apart from there. A lot of that catalyzed, from that equalizing kill towards outside. The Rewound went for a faster play towards the B bomb site than they would have otherwise been comfortable with. And Order had already made those rotations. They were very prepared for that lower site hit. All it took was for Emag to confirm it. And Order were there in spades. Fast play towards A though. 1-for-1 exchange in the early stages. And nobody there really to deal with the initial pressure. Zeph gets overwhelmed. Alistair in from heaven is trying to make as much damage or do as much damage as possible with the AWP. Llama's down to very low HP himself, down to 20. That will bring it to the 1-on-2. The issue is there's so many angles that these players could be located in chat. Oh, Andy. They'll spot him out. Hats has an isolated 1v1 now if he goes fast enough. He knows exactly where Andy's going to rotate through from. The Noisia could be in so many different angles. He even takes the fight. Could have gone for the more passive play, but confident in that endeavor. It'll be a round 1 and then immediately lost in the subsequent for Order. They're not going to be able to buy up around this. Going to be the half buy and just the pistols brought forward. Keto's able to deal with very early pressure towards ramp. Imagine, very brazen. He's actually the only player that had bought up armor, and he immediately got headshot, so. Probably not the most worthwhile of investments, especially when he's isolated like that. Of course, if Rewound weren't in a classic default, He's in a passage with these players pushing forward. It could have been dangerous. A couple of close angles being held. Instantly able to get the one. The AK recovered as well. But he's trapped between two angles. Has is firing off many a shot with the deagle. And although he's able to get the first, had he found that headshot initially, it would have bought him a bit more space and a bit more time to work with. The AWP is out on Alistair. The Orgs still in spades for that CT side. We saw them both Order and Rewound's respective defensive. We'll see Andy off in his own hands. That's played towards the site. Llamas gets the entry, although he sustains heavy tag damage from that Molotov. He's going to be happy with that exchange. Down to 44, but only the 4 players remain for Order. And he's got on the angle. That's an equalizer for Zeph. I think realizing that Rewound wanted to slow down, he could have potentially held that from the start, but instead has to peek into the crosshairs of Zeph on the AUG. But now Rewound will group themselves up. Likely to be more of a play towards A or that ramp position. Though Noisia is making a bit of presence over towards A, it does seem like it will be the latter. Hats, a lot on his plate. The player will move forward. The flash actually works against Valiant. It's down to 2. HP just for that one man. Alistair is siphoned off by the flames, but now they're creeping further forward, and that plays right into Rewound's hands. They were prepared for Alistair to go for that peak. And now they'll make their way back over towards A. This is very dangerous, and that one peak may have cost Order the round. Now they'll creep further forward. Hats over towards the B bomb site, but Emag and Zeph are here. There's still 2 players on that A site. They'll hold the crossfire for now, and Zeph delivers in a big way for the side, and they line up for Emag as well. That could have been incredibly costly, but neither of the Order players moves an inch on that A site. They'll secure round number 15. At the very minimum, Order are going to overtime. But one more is all they'll need. And not the strongest of buys for Rewound. It's the scout in the hands of Andy, although he's been proficient with these scoped weapons. Do doubt the effectiveness that's going to bring. Emag fast play towards outside. He's just going to completely trump any sort of a play that Rewound had planned in the round. Valiant's even trying to attempt and track down the trade frag, but Emag is just giving it. Taking fight after fight, swinging wide on every single engagement. He's gotten 3. That's the round. That's it done and dusted. Rewound will have to rely on Llamas to bring them into a 12th. Still 4 players to find. Alistair he just spammed through the door. Why not? Doesn't even give him an opportunity.